My brothers and sisters, Gentiles have nothing to do with Noah's nor the Hebrew Israelites. They are in a whole spectrum by themselves. Now, I don't call them people. I don't call them a family, because God never called them a family. Never. All we know is they are Gentiles. That's it. Now, my brothers and sisters, we hope that this has been a wonderful lesson and an eye-opener. We here at LightOfMeaningMore.org, we wish all our sisters and brothers a happy Sabbath. My brothers and sisters, until next time, shalom.
All praises to the Most High God of Israel. It is a blessing to be before you this evening. My name is V.C.E. Smith, and I am the Rib of the Watchman. And tonight, Israel, as you know, I'm not going to be before you too long, if I can help it. But tonight, we're going to look at a few things. I was talking with the Father, and you got a teaching going on right now by the Watchman. And just to give you some clarity of words, because I think some people are getting confused by what these words mean. Even the simplest of words, we don't have a clear understanding of. Because see, this is hell. And in hell, a lot of things have been either turned upside down, because that's what Lucifer said they did. They turned things upside down. Or either they're just construed to a way that it makes sense in hell, because that's what you've been taught in this Egypt, but it is not the meaning that the Bible is giving you. It's not the actual meaning of what is being said. So we know that he's doing a teaching on the Gentiles, and you have to understand now, you're going to find out that these things are not people. He'll get into that, but I want to bring out some simple words that confuse you as you read along with the Watchman, and you don't quite, I hate to say don't get it, but you really don't quite understand what's transpiring in the teaching. So let's look at the first verse that God talks about in Genesis. And we'll go to Genesis 10, and we're going to look at verse 5. Now, it reads this way. The very, 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 very first word throws everybody off in this teaching of this verse, because they think they know what this word means. And then we're going to get down a little further when we get into Judges, and they're going to show you another word that you think you know what it means. So let's go ahead and read this, and then we'll go into some definitions. It says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. Now, for most of us, that was cut and dry, plain and simple. There should be no reason for anybody to be confused about what was just said, right? Everybody thinks they know exactly what that verse is talking about, because in our world, and the way we've been taught and the things that we understand and know, it's simple. It's simple. He says, by these were. So let's look at by first before we jump to conclusions on what we think we know. So the word by means near to or next to. A home is by a lake. Okay. Second definition. Let's see. It says over the surface of, through the median of, along, or using as a route. The route somewhere. If you're taking a trip and you want to, what route should we take? What route should we go on? Okay. Let's say it's to and beyond the vicinity of, meaning past. So by means something that is alongside of, near, close to. Let's say, let's look at it like this: not later than, but at or before. I usually finish my work by 5 o'clock. So that means it can be 4:45, 4:48. It could also be 4:59. Because by means in the vicinity, around. So when you read a verse, when you're reading this verse in Genesis, it should read to you somewhere around these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. Because by means close around. Could be a mile in a distance or 2 miles, but close by, the vicinity of. So by these were the isles of the Gentile. Not talking about how y'all learned it in Egypt. Here you go. Girl, Busha's son is by Nikki. Well, if Busha's son is by Nikki, that means Nikki, somewhere in the vicinity around where Nikki's at, you'll find Busha's son. Yeah, no less than a mile, maybe, or close around. But if you speak it in natural terms, when you're talking about what you're trying to say, you say, her son's father's name is. Because saying someone is by someone is not clarity in how you use that word. Alright? So, we know by means in a vicinity, close around, nearby. So when he was reading to you something dealing with the Gentiles, and he says, by these were, meaning these were around about by the Gentiles. Because I think you're confused on that. Because I know you are, because the Father said you were. So let's go to Judges. We could have just used, we could have used that verse. We don't even have to go to Judges, but let's use Judges. The reason why I want to use Judges is because of the wording in Judges, because I think that helps you, even confuses you more. So let's go to Judges 4:2. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan. Now, the reason why this of is different than the of we're going to get down here by the Gentiles is because you are speaking about a person. And when you are speaking about a person and you know of is being used, you use their name. That individual's name. Because we already know that he is the king of Canaan. Alright? The captain of whose host was Syria, which dwelt in Heroth of the Gentiles. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. It's not tricky, but it's because of the way your perception is of words and how you've been taught in this hell to see things. So when you read certain things, you think you automatically got it. I got it. Alright, so let's look at this word of. Used to indicate distance or direction from, separation. Alright? Within a mile of the church, of course they use church, south of Oklahoma, to be robbed of one's money. Alright? Now, also, let's go on down and get a few more different understandings. Used to indicate derivation, or whatever it is, the origin, in other words, the origin of something, where it says a man of good family, the play of Shakespeare, a piece of candy. So now you're looking at a different understanding of the word of. So we know in this understanding the word of is being used to tell you where these people are. So let's look at this. And the Lord sold them into the land of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Syria, which dwelt in Heroth of the Gentiles. Meaning, Heroth is around the area, close by or near the Gentiles' land. Not that Heroth is a Gentile. No. He was dwelt in Heroth, the place Heroth of the Gentiles. So this is an area that's within distance, very, 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 very close to the Gentiles, in that vicinity, so that you get an understanding. Because when you read these things about the Gentiles, you place the Gentiles in those scenarios. The Gentiles are not in those. God does not make mention of the Gentiles in that manner, but he does tell you that everything went on around where the Gentiles were. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of information, because a lot of times when you read, you do not get a thorough understanding, and you'll take meanings of words, and when you use the word by, you always think they're talking about Pookie Daddy, who Pookie Baby Daddy is, or who somebody is by. That's not what the word means. That's not what the word's context is in these teachings that are being taught about the Gentiles. So I hope that, I'm not sure that everybody can quite grasp it, but that's the understanding that helps you separate the difference between when someone's talking about being around the Gentile area but not including the Gentiles. They have to say that, because if you were doing something, and let's say you lived in I don't even know a lot of places, but let's take it as a small town, Maryville. You would say, let's say Maryville of Kentucky, because Maryville, let's say, is a small place close to Kentucky but not quite in Kentucky. How's that? Okay, anyway, let's move on. So tonight's teaching, we're going to look at some things I've been asking the Father to help me with, because I have an understanding, but a lot of people don't quite get this teaching about good people or doing right or righteousness, or they don't quite have the understanding. So I've been crying out and asking the Father, what do I tell him? What do I he said, well, okay, do this. Go to a story that they think they know. Teach them a story dealing with this, on something that they are so positive on and they're so sure about. Everybody knows this story. How about the story of Lot? And I'm thinking to myself, well, shoot, everybody knows that story. They've read it a million times. They learned that in Sunday school, Sunday worship. But he said, well, read it again. So we read it again, and boy, did he show me some things. So let's get into this story right quick and see what the Father's talking about. Now, we also have to look up a word so that you can have an idea. The first word, I think it's paraventure, is a word that a lot of people, they don't really know exactly what it means. They just assume. But it actually says, by chance, it could be a doubt, uncertainty, maybe, possibility, perhaps. So in other words, Abraham is talking to the Father, and he's saying, maybe, just maybe. Okay, so pre-adventure. So I'm going to say maybe. Maybe there, in verse 28. I'm sorry, let's start at verse 28. Pre-adventure. There shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? So in other words, Abraham was dealing with the Father. The Father had told him, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Because ain't nobody righteous there. I'm going to burn the bitch down. I'm sick of them. I'm just sick of them. But Abraham, in his mind, because he had thought, I know that place. My nephew's there. And he got children and family. So there might be 50 righteous people in Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't burn it down, Father. So the Father, being whom he is, wiser than all of us, says to Abraham, okay. So if there's 50, I won't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And so he kept on going. Y'all know the story till he got down to 5. So the Father said, okay, no problem. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said,